welcome to FinCurious. Today we are going to explore how to pass journal entries using our gamification tool. So before doing that, let us dive into how exactly this US accounting rule or modern accounting rule works. So let me share my screen. You can see my screen. So what is this US accounting rule or modern accounting rule? So to pass any journal entry, we need to actually understand the basic accounting rules. So what are those? You can see here on the screen, liability, asset, and expenditure, income. What are these four things? Basically, you know the financial statements, right? In financial statements, balance sheet and profit and loss account would be there. So in the balance sheet, you can see liabilities and assets. In profit and loss accounts, you can see expenditure and income. So these are the four things you will find always in the financial statements. So based on that, the accounting rules has been made. So what are these accounting rules? So you can see here, liability increases, we need to credit that particular account. If it is decreasing, we need to debit it. The same can be seen for the incomes also. So income increases, credit, income decreases, debit. So both liability and income, if it is increasing, we need to credit that particular account. If it is decreasing, we need to debit that particular account. Then what about asset and expenditure? So you can see the same scenario here also. Asset increases, debit, expenditure increases, debit. Asset decreases, credit, expenditure decreases, credit. So to simplify it, we can say like this, right? If asset and expenditure are increasing, we need to debit it. If asset and expenditure are decreasing, we need to credit that particular account. Then what about liability and income? The vice versa. If it is increasing, we need to credit. If it is decreasing, we need to debit. So let us take one example to understand. So if I am purchasing furniture with cash, so how many types of accounts are there here? Furniture account, cash account. Two accounts are there. So what are these two accounts? These two are again assets only. So furniture is an asset, right? If furniture, what is happening in the company's point of view, furniture is increasing, right? If you are purchasing an asset, which is furniture, furniture is coming into the books of accounts. Basically, if it is in the company, it is the value of the asset, the furniture is increasing. So the value of the asset being increased, we need to debit that particular account. Then what about the second account, that is cash? What is that cash? Cash is also again an asset. If it is an asset, what is happening to cash? Cash is going out. So when you're purchasing something, cash is going out, right? Cash being an asset, something is going out, that is, which means cash decreasing. So cash decreases, we need to credit it. So the entry would be furniture account data to cash account. So that is how we pass the journal entries. Let us actually do these things in our gamification tool. I'll show you what is this gamification tool. If I go to the case study, so you can see the task to complete is to pass journal entries for the following transactions given as experiments based on practical accounting rule, keeping in mind accounting entry process. So what is this accounting entry process? I'll go back to US accounting rule and explain you what is this accounting entry process. So as I already told you, you need to always remember while passing the journal entries in the company point of view. You need to think in the company point of view. So if the company is purchasing the furniture, in the company's point of view, it is debit or credit. What is going out, what is coming in. You should not think in the personal perspective, only in the company point of view. And then practical. So you need to understand the practical scenario, what exactly is happening. And ledgers. For every transaction, there would be minimum of two ledgers, two or more ledgers. If there is transaction happen, two ledgers will be compulsorily there. Then only you will debit and credit, right? If you have only one debit, you cannot credit. If you don't have any credit, basically, then the transaction is only journal entry cannot be passed. So to pass a journal entry, two transactions should be there and two parties should be involved in that particular transaction. And then the rule, apply practical or US accounting rule. So just now we have discussed. Asset and expenditure increases, debit, decreases, credit. Liability and income increases, credit, decreases, debit. So this is the US accounting rule we need to apply, or modern accounting rule. So coming to the gamification tool. So you can see here experiment one. So they're asking us to start the experiment. So you might be wondering what are these experiments in accounting. So basically in physics labs or chemistry labs, you go to labs and do experiments, right? In the same manner, we at the FinCurious have developed FinC lab. This is our FinC lab. In this FinC lab, we want to give the students the experience of experiments, how experiments works. So these experiments are nothing but like you need to learn how to pass journal entries. You know how to pass journal entries in the Excel or by writing, but you know even in Tally also. But we want you to experience these experiments in the real simulation module. You can see here experiment one. On 20th of April, Mr. Mahesh and Mr. Kiran invested rupees 1 lakh each as capital by check. So first of all, we just need to understand the transaction. What is happening in this particular transaction? One by one, we will understand. Mahesh and Kiran, two people, might be friends or business partners, investing 1 lakh each by check. By check means bank, through bank. So now into the company. So basically, these two people are actually starting a business so that in that business name, they're giving the check. Okay, who is giving? Mr. Mahesh and Mr. Kiran is giving. So now in the company's perspective, what is coming in? Cash or bank. Basically, the money is coming through the bank account. So bank account is one type of account. So we first of all we need to identify the accounts, right? What are those accounts? Bank account, Mahesh capital account, Kiran capital account, because those two people are investing as the capital. So what is this capital account? That nothing but liability. What is this bank? It is an asset. So if asset is increasing or decreasing, in the company's point of view, the amount is coming inside the company. Asset is increasing. If the asset is increasing, what we need to do? We need to debit it. So bank account would be debited. Then what we need to credit? We need to credit the liability, because who is the liability here? In the company's point of view, Kiran and Mahesh are investing money. So in company's point of view, those two people are liability only. So Mahesh capital account and Kiran capital account would be credited with 1 lakh, 1 lakh. Bank account would be debited with 2 lakhs. So let us start doing that with an experiment. Now we understand how to what is a journal entry, but how to do that in the experiment. So let us start it. So what is the date? 20th April is the date. Select the date. 20th April, I am selecting. Select type, debit. First we will debit. What to debit? As I told you, bank account would be debited with how much? 2 lakhs. So again add row, and you need to add two rows, right? Because two accounts should be credited. Again add row. Here you can credit what? Mahesh capital account with 1 lakh rupees, and credit again Kiran capital account again 1 lakh rupees. Now narration, being capital introduced by the partners. So now I can submit it. So debit my bank account, credit Mahesh capital, credit Kiran capital, submit. Oh no, it is showing wrong. Why? I would have made some mistake. What is that mistake I need to identify? So what is the mistake? Bank account debited, Mahesh capital credited, Kiran capital credited. So 2 lakhs. Oh, you can see here, here mistakenly I have done 10 lakhs instead of 1 lakh. So if you do the wrong answer, if you give the wrong answer, it will show you wrong and you need to retry it again. So I need to retry it again. Again, I go here, select the date, and select debit, and select the debit account, bank account, debit amount 2 lakhs, and then click on add button, type select credit bank, select credit account Mahesh capital account and 1 lakh. Again, I am not doing the same mistake. Now I understood. Credit again Kiran capital account again 1 lakh. So now I think So before submitting, I need to make sure whether it is right or wrong, cross verification, double verification. Then narration being capital introduced by the partners. Click on the submit button. Wow, is correct. So my answer is correct. So by this way, we can actually experience these experiments and understand how to pass the journal entries in a very well manner. So let us go to the next experiment and see how it works. So 26th April, company purchased furniture worth rupees 50,000 through bank payment. So the same example I have already given you. So while explaining the asset, so let us start the experiment. Select the date. The date is 26th of April. 26th of April. Select debit. So what are we going to debit here? What would be the journal entry in this particular transaction in the company's point of view? What are the two accounts? One is furniture account. If you are purchasing, you should not debit to purchases because you are purchasing the asset. If you are purchasing an asset, the asset name only should be debited. That is furniture account. Furniture account is one type of account. Second account is through bank payment. In the example I told you, it cash. Now they are telling through bank payment, which means bank account should be there. So two types of accounts will come here: furniture account and bank account. So furniture account being an asset is increasing in the company's point of view. So that's why we need to debit the furniture account. With how much amount? 50,000, and add row, type credit, and here what is that? Now I should not do for cash account because they are telling clearly bank. So I need to select bank, 50,000, and write the narration being furniture purchased, and click on the submit button. Wow, it is also correct. So this is how we learn how to pass the journal entries through our gamification tools. So going to the next experiment. Experiment 3, purchased goods worth rupees 2,50,000 from Nehru Technologies on credit basis. So what is happening here? Purchasing the goods. If we are purchasing the goods, what is that purchases? It is an expense. So if expense increases, what we need to do? We need to debit. So purchases being an expense, it is increasing, we need to debit it. So purchases account will be debited. Then what we need to credit now? Usually when we are purchasing the goods, what would go out? Cash or bank? Like we need to pay cash, right? Or through phone pay or bank UPI or NEFT, something else. Cash or bank would be going out. So if asset is decreasing, that will be credited. So normal instances, purchase account data to cash or bank account will do. But in this case, what is happening? They're clearly telling on credit basis. Who is giving credit? Nehru Technologies is giving credit. Who is Nehru Technologies for us? He is a liability. That company is a liability for this company point of view. So Nehru Technologies being a liability increasing or decreasing? Liability increasing. If the liability increases, we need to credit it. So purchases account data to Nehru Technologies account. So let us start the experiment. So 26th of April again. Select the date. Type debit. Select debit purchases account. Debit 2,50,000 and click on add. Here again credit. So as I told you, Nehru Technologies. So if you want to do bank account, you do bank account and see your answer would be wrong. Again, we need to do it again. So because clearly they're told from Nehru Technologies. See, it is showing on. So we need to do it correctly. It is 26th of April. Select the type debit. Select debit account would be purchases account with 2,50,000 and click on add. Again credit to Nehru Technologies account. So this is the account we need to create. Narration being goods purchased. See, now it is showing correct answer. So let us go to the next experiment. 27th of April, company purchased stationery from Blue Nail Stationery for office use, rupees 15,000 on cash. So now tell me what are the different types of accounts involved in this particular transaction. So if we properly see where company is purchasing stationery, what is that stationery? It is an expense. So stationery is an expense. From whom it is purchasing the stationery? From Blue Nail Stationery. So who is this Blue Nail Stationery? He is normally a vendor. So, and again they are telling on cash. If it is on credit, we would have credited Blue Nail Stationery, but it is on cash. So cash is only going out, correct? If cash is going out, being an asset decreasing, we need to credit cash. What to debit? We should not debit purchase account here. These are not goods. This is stationery. So stationery is an expense. So stationery account expense being increasing, we need to debit stationery account. So stationery account data to cash account. So let us do that in the experiment. 27th of April, debit stationery account. Where is stationery? Yes. Here 15,000 rupees and click on add button, select type credit, and here we need to do cash because it has paid in cash 15,000 rupees. And narration being stationery purchased in cash. Submit. Right. So this is how we need to understand how to pass journal entries using this gamification tool. So hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you all for joining the session.